In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 MLB games happening on September 29, 2024, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 MLB games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Denver Broncos versus New York Jets. The Denver Broncos are set to play their second consecutive road game as they head to the East Coast to face off against the New York Jets this Sunday. The Broncos enter the matchup with a 1-2 record after securing their first win of the season last week in Tampa Bay. Meanwhile, the New York Jets come into the contest at 2-1, following a Thursday night victory over the New England Patriots. Can Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets maintain their momentum going into Week 4? After suffering a season-opening loss to the San Francisco 49ers, the Jets rebounded impressively with 2 consecutive victories over the Tennessee Titans and the Patriots. On the other hand, Denver is also coming off an unexpected victory, having dominated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. Tampa Bay had appeared strong up to that point, but Denver's performance caught many off guard. Quarterback Bo Nix showed flashes of potential in what was his first successful game as a pro after struggling in the season's first 2 outings. However, this upcoming game is likely to resemble those early struggles more than his recent success against the Buccaneers. It's important to note that Tampa Bay was dealing with defensive injuries last week, and the game against Denver came after their big win over Detroit, which may have set them up for a classic letdown. Let's not forget Denver's rough outings earlier this season, where they were outplayed by the Seattle Seahawks in Week 1 and embarrassed at home by the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 2. In contrast, the Jets, who had the benefit of playing on Thursday last week, will come into this matchup with a notable rest advantage. This extra rest is particularly significant considering the age of their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who, despite being 40, looked remarkably mobile in last week's win. Rodgers, recovering from an Achilles tear, showed agility on several scrambles that should alleviate concerns about his mobility going forward. Last week, the Jets made short work of the Patriots, with Rodgers completing an impressive 77% of his passes for over 8 yards per attempt against a tough New England defense on a short week. Clearly, the veteran quarterback still has plenty left in the tank. In contrast, Denver's offensive struggles are apparent, especially with Bo Nix being the team's leading rusher, which speaks more to the Broncos' inability to establish a running game than to Nix's athletic prowess. Nix has also struggled as a passer, even after a solid performance against Tampa Bay. He is averaging just 5.3 yards per attempt, with no touchdown passes and 4 interceptions on the season. The Jets hold a significant advantage in 2 key areas that could spell trouble for the Broncos: red zone efficiency and turnover margin. While Denver's offense showed some improvement last week, they continue to struggle in converting red zone opportunities into touchdowns, ranking 30th in the league in that category. On the other hand, the Jets' defense excels in the red zone, ranking 4th in preventing opposing teams from converting red zone trips into touchdowns. Offensively, Rodgers and the Jets are ranked 7th in red zone efficiency, successfully turning their opportunities into points. Turnovers will also play a pivotal role in this game. Nix managed to avoid throwing an interception last week but has already thrown 4 this season, and the Broncos are ranked 24th in turnover margin. Meanwhile, the Jets' defense is formidable, ranking 2nd in the league in sacks per game and forcing errors. Rodgers, known for his ball security, rarely makes mistakes, contributing to the Jets' ranking of 7th in turnover margin. Expect the Jets to capitalize on these advantages, making the New York Jets moneyline our full game side pick. Offensively, the Jets have been efficient but not particularly explosive. They've been able to move the ball steadily in small increments, converting those opportunities into points. The Broncos, by contrast, have had difficulty finishing drives and have been plagued by turnovers. Playing on the road against a Jets team with a strong pass rush will likely present a significant challenge for Denver's offense. Both teams enter this matchup with below-average total offenses and above-average defenses. The defenses are expected to control the pace of the game, with the Jets likely to convert their red zone opportunities, while the Broncos are expected to struggle in that area. Both Denver and New York feature two of the top defenses in the NFL. Given the defensive strength on both sides, both teams will likely lean heavily on their running games, which will help keep the clock moving and limit scoring opportunities. This sets up an ideal scenario for the game to go under the projected point total. Touchdowns will be difficult to come by against these stingy defenses, with many drives stalling out and resulting in field goals rather than touchdowns. This season, Denver has gone 2-1 in hitting the under, while the Jets stand at 1-1. Given the strength of both defenses, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Cincinnati Bengals versus Carolina Panthers. The Cincinnati Bengals are gearing up for a showdown against the Carolina Panthers at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, on Sunday, September 29, 2024. The Bengals are still in search of their first win of the season after a heart-wrenching 38-33 loss to the Washington Commanders, leaving them with a disappointing 0-4 record. On the other hand, the Panthers, fresh off an impressive 36-22 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders, are energized by a recent change at quarterback, swapping out Bryce Young for seasoned veteran Andy Dalton. This move has seemingly revitalized the team, and they are eager to keep the momentum going. Fans can tune in to catch all the action live on Fox. Heading into this Week 4 matchup, it's the Cincinnati Bengals, not the Carolina Panthers, who find themselves winless. Despite their rough start, I still hold more confidence in the Bengals' potential. Their performance in Week 1 against the New England Patriots was dismal, but they nearly upset the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 2 and came up just short in a high-scoring shootout against the Washington Commanders on Monday night. This team is loaded with talent and simply too good to remain winless, and I don't believe that will be the case after Sunday. Quarterback Joe Burrow, who has been working his way back from a 2023 wrist injury, had his best outing of the season in last Monday's game, throwing for 324 yards, completing 29 of 38 passes, and delivering 3 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. While the Panthers looked much improved with Andy Dalton leading the offense last weekend compared to their first 2 games with rookie Bryce Young at quarterback, I'm not ready to buy into this turnaround just yet. One game is too small of a sample size to draw strong conclusions. To make matters worse, wide receiver Adam Thielen has been placed on injured reserve, which is a huge blow to a Panthers offense that was already lacking playmakers. Their win over the Raiders showed that they aren't the absolute worst team in the NFL, but they're still near the bottom of the league. I would only bet confidently on this game if the line is set at a field goal or less. Carolina can't be trusted against a respectable opponent, and while the Bengals' 0-3 record might suggest otherwise, they are a far better team than their record shows. This game is shaping up to be a classic sharp versus square matchup. The Sharps will likely back the Panthers, as they're the home underdog coming off their first win of the season. Meanwhile, the Squares, or the betting public, are likely to side with the Bengals, believing there's no way Cincinnati can continue to play poorly for a 4th straight week. Sometimes the public is right, and I think this is one of those times. The Bengals need this game to keep their season alive, and this is far from a one-man show featuring Joe Burrow. Cincinnati has plenty of weapons, particularly at wide receiver, where T. Higgins will be back to full strength. The Panthers' defense, currently ranked 32nd in the league in points allowed, will have a tough time keeping Cincinnati's offense at bay. The Bengals didn't punt or turn the ball over once in their last game, and with film available on how Carolina operates differently with Dalton compared to Young, Cincinnati will be better prepared. Dalton is a veteran but lacks mobility in the pocket and may be missing 2 of his top receivers, with Adam Thielen sidelined and Deontay Johnson listed as questionable. This leaves Dalton working with rookies and backup players, making it hard for the Panthers to keep pace with Cincinnati's offense. For these reasons, the Cincinnati Bengals to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Despite the relatively low total set for this game, it's hard to imagine it being a low-scoring affair, especially considering the defensive struggles both teams have had. Carolina ranks dead last in defense, while Cincinnati isn't much better, sitting at 27th. The Bengals just played in a game where neither team's defense managed a single stop. Out of the 6 combined games these teams have played this season, 4 would have easily gone over the current total for this matchup. Cincinnati is in desperation mode and cannot afford to play conservatively, so expect to see them take more risks with deep passes and aggressive decisions on 4th down as they fight to turn their season around. When teams go for it on fourth down near midfield, it either results in scoring drives for themselves or sets up their opponents with excellent field position, leading to points on the other end. Last week, the Commanders scored on every possession against the Bengals defense. And to make matters worse, Cincinnati may be without their top pass rusher, Trey Hendrickson, who has missed practice due to illness. Andy Dalton, who threw for over 300 yards without an interception in his last outing, will be motivated to perform well against his former team and could light up the scoreboard once again. The Bengals enter this game still looking for their first victory after their defense was torched by Washington last week. Although they lost by just 1 point to the Chiefs in Week 2, their performances in Weeks 1 and 3 have been disastrous. Meanwhile, Carolina was blown out in their first 2 games, but Andy Dalton's solid play in Week 3 provided a spark. I believe the Panthers' offense can put up points against Cincinnati's struggling defense, but I also expect Joe Burrow and the Bengals to move the ball easily. This game has all the makings of a high-scoring shootout. Therefore, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Philadelphia Eagles versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Philadelphia Eagles head to Tampa Bay this Sunday afternoon to face off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in what promises to be a highly competitive conference matchup at Raymond James Stadium. Both teams are coming off contrasting results last week and are eager to continue building momentum early in the season. The Eagles secured a narrow 15-12 victory over the New Orleans Saints on the road, while the Buccaneers suffered a disappointing 26-7 defeat at home against the Denver Broncos, just a week after an impressive win over the Detroit Lions. In their last encounter, Tampa Bay dominated Philadelphia with a 32-9 victory during last season's playoffs, also held at Raymond James Stadium, which adds an extra layer of intrigue to this rematch. The Eagles managed to pull off a critical win over the Saints, despite some glaring coaching mistakes from head coach Nick Sirianni. However, the victory came at a steep cost, as key players Devonta Smith and Darius Slay left the game with injuries that could keep them out of this week's contest. With Smith and fellow wide receiver A.J. Brown possibly sidelined, it's difficult to have confidence in an Eagles offense that might be lacking experienced playmakers outside of tight end Dallas Goedert. Normally, this would be an ideal opportunity for Philadelphia to exploit Tampa Bay's weakened secondary, but with these injuries, the offense's effectiveness is in question. Additionally, Sirianni's questionable clock management could be a deciding factor in a close game. On the other hand, Tampa Bay's offense has struggled to establish a consistent ground game, ranking 25th in expected points added per rush attempt. Despite this, they may find success through the air against an Eagles secondary that lacks the personnel to effectively cover star wide receivers Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Philadelphia has historically struggled at Raymond James Stadium, winning just one of their last 4 visits, both straight up and against the spread. This includes the lopsided 32-9 loss in last season's National Football Conference wild card game. The Eagles' offense has been held to 15 points or fewer in 2 of their last 3 road matchups against the Buccaneers. Compounding their challenges, they have lost 3 straight games against the spread to close out the 2023 season and were defeated by the Atlanta Falcons in Week 2. With A.J. Brown recovering from a hamstring injury and Devonta Smith in concussion protocol, their offense could be significantly depleted. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers have covered the spread in 2 of their last 3 home games, including last season's playoff victory over Philadelphia. Before the season started, I raised the question of whether the Philadelphia Eagles are truly a good team, and now, 3 games in, I'm still asking the same thing. Last year, the Eagles ended the season poorly, losing 6 of their final 7 games, which culminated in a playoff loss to the Buccaneers. Although they've won 2 of their first 3 games this year, they could easily be sitting at 0-3, with Jalen Hurts showing inconsistency and the defense struggling mightily. While Tampa Bay is coming off an ugly loss, they've displayed more promise through 3 games and have covered the spread in 10 of their last 14 games as underdogs. Of those, 7 were outright wins. Normally, I'd be tempted to side with the Eagles in a playoff revenge scenario, especially after the blowout loss in Tampa last January, but the numerous injury concerns for Philadelphia make it hard to trust them as road favorites against a solid Buccaneers team. Therefore, so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. We've been seeing a trend of low-scoring games across the league, partly due to inconsistent quarterback play, and the forecasted rain in Tampa could play a significant role in this one as well. The absence of Devonta Smith in the Eagles' passing game will be felt, and while A.J. Brown might suit up, Playing effectively in wet conditions could be difficult, especially if the field is waterlogged. This matchup could favor teams with strong running games, and Philadelphia has an advantage in that department. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, lacks a dependable ground attack, which is another reason to lean toward a lower point total. The Eagles have gone under the total in 4 of their last 5 games, while the Buccaneers have done the same in 6 of their last 8. The last 2 meetings between these teams both went under the projected point total, with Tampa Bay's defense holding the Eagles to just 9 points and fewer than 300 yards of total offense in each contest. The Buccaneers have also gone under the total in 5 of their last 6 regular season games, dating back to last season. Last week, they managed just 7 points against the Washington Commanders, further highlighting their offensive struggles. On the flip side, the Eagles have scored more than 21 points only once this season and have gone under the total in 2 of their last 3 games overall, including their lone road game. Tampa Bay's offense ranked in the lower half of the league in several key categories last season, and those struggles appear to be continuing this year, making it unlikely that they'll put up points in bunches. It may seem counterintuitive to bet the under when both teams typically boast strong defenses, even though they haven't performed up to that standard so far this season. The Eagles are dealing with significant injuries, and I wouldn't feel comfortable relying on their offense until A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are fully healthy. On the Buccaneers side, their offense is hard to trust after an abysmal showing against Denver last week. All signs point to this being a low-scoring, hard-fought battle in Tampa Bay on Sunday. Expect another gritty, defensive showdown in what should be a closely contested game. Therefore, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.